A lot of people don't fly throughout winter, and I can totally understand it. It's cold, it drains you, it makes you very tired, and at the end of the day, it takes a couple of hours just to recover before you get to go and do it the next day, of course. But it doesn't have to be that way. With a couple of small changes, inexpensive changes, you can fly throughout winter. So in this video, I'm going to show you all of the things that I've learned over the years and the changes I've made to my flying so that I fly all year round. In fact, it's so comfortable, it actually feels like summer. When autumn or fall comes around and the temperatures start to drop, the first thing I reach for are base layer thermals. Now these normally come as a top or leggings that you wear underneath your jeans and t-shirt, and they're designed to trap warm air next to your skin. It also wicks moisture away, although we aren't sweating on the flight line, so I can't imagine it's actually doing much work. However, I am dry and comfortable, so it must be doing something. You can find them in various materials such as merino wool or synthetic or cotton blend. And if you decide to go expensive, they can cost over £100 or $135 US. And that's just for a top or bottom. However, I've found that the cheaper versions are more than good enough for what we do. So a thermal base layer, really useful. We can start using them really early on in the season. Now they aren't windproof, but we will be adding layers for that later. As the temperatures keep dropping, you'll have your favorite hoodie. However, you will need something warm and windproof. And for me, that's a ski jacket. These are relatively cheap, simple, and will keep you dry and warm. They're designed to be windproof and water resistant. And you want the kind that has a snow skirt, so you won't get cold air coming up from underneath. Now you can get some fancy jackets that come with batteries and warming circuits. And I think these are really great for getting even more comfortable at the field. However, they are a little bit more pricey, and you'll have to make sure that the battery is charged and that there's enough capacity to keep going all day. Potentially you could get 2 batteries and just charge them at the field. However, I like to keep it super simple. A ski jacket stays in the van and I can just drag it out whenever I need it. And they're designed for the ski slopes, so they're going to be more than enough for what we need. Now jeans and thermal base layers are not windproof, so you'll still be losing heat through your legs. So what normally happens in the morning, you'll have a couple of hours where you feel really comfortable, but by lunchtime you'll be completely drained. And this is normally because you've been losing heat through your legs during the morning. So if I know I'm going to be out all day, I'll take my Windproof Over-trousers with me. These come in a few different versions, from the thin windproof kind through to the thicker lined windproof stroke waterproof versions. As I'm already wearing a thermal base layer, I only need the thin windproof kind. However, we've got a couple of people in our field who've tried out the lined kind, which means you don't need to wear the thermal base layers underneath, and they're fully waterproof as well. So those can be really useful and quite nice. I actually got this idea from my wife, who's an equestrian, and she spends a lot of time at the yard taking care of the horses, and these things are an absolute godsend. As I mentioned, before I had these, I could do sort of half a day and then I'd feel drained, but now I can pretty much go the whole day and it feels super, super comfortable on the flight line. And the last item I use is a transmitter glove, or Mitt, which I think is hated by just about everybody except for me, who absolutely loves it. Now I have tried a few of these in the past, from very expensive fleece-lined versions through to the thinner version from Turnigy that I use currently. And I've also tried tire warmers inside with LiPo batteries, but we'll have a chat about that in a second. Now the best one that I've found is the Turnigy transmitter glove, and I've been using that for a couple of years. Unfortunately, they don't make them anymore. However, there are a large number of people out there who bought them when they were for sale and have never used them. So if you put out a wanted ad, odds are you'll find someone who will send you one just for the cost of the postage. Now, the first reason I like it is because of the access holes on the side. Now, a lot of these transmitter mitts have sleeves. Now, the problem with that is that when you want to put your hand in quickly, maybe after a hand launch on a fixed wing, or you've scratched your nose and you have to put your hand back in the transmitter mitt, if it's got sleeves, it's going to be a real hassle. So I find with this particular version, you can take your hand out and you can put it straight back in again, and it's really easy without actually knocking the sticks or anything dangerous. Now, the idea is that you wear a puffy jacket, such as the ski jacket, and what happens is when you put your hand through the hole, the jacket sleeve will actually plug the hole, so you don't get any drafts in there or any super cold air coming in and touching your hands. Now, the problem is if you have one of these transmitter mitts and it has sleeves on it, it's not really going to work with your super thick jacket. The Turnigy version is also built with a fair amount of height in it, so it's not resting on your thumbs or on your hands as you use the sticks. Whereas I find with some of the other versions that are quite square and flat, unless it's being held up, the top actually just flops onto the top of your hands. Now the downside with using a version like the Turnigy is that you have to use a neck strap. And what it does is it just keeps that very soft top from folding down onto the top of your hands. It's not a big deal, but I know some of you don't like to use neck straps at all. Now in terms of the tire warmers, I have tried them before with a set of tire warmers along the bottom of the tray, and then used a 3-cell battery 2200 that went in there that powered the tire warmers. Now although it worked quite well and it kept everything warm, you're carrying a little bit of extra weight, and also it's a faff. You have to have the battery in there, the tire warmers, and you've got to have a voltage alarm so that as soon as your battery's done, you get this alarm that tells you need to put in a new battery or you need to charge the one you've got. And I felt that was just too much of a faff. When I'm out there on the flight line, as long as there's no drafts getting into the transmitter glove, you'll feel super dry and you'll feel really warm. Also, I found that if you introduce warmers in there, you'll actually get more condensation. So you'll get a little bit of condensation if you use no heating at all, but that tends to clear within a minute or two of actually putting the transmitter glove down. However, if you use tire warmers, I find that there's more condensation, and you actually get droplets on the inside of the transmitter glove. And that of course takes a little bit longer to clear, and you'll see it'll remain between flights, and it actually starts becoming an issue. You can also take the hand warmers, like the USB hand warmers or the chemical or the click gel ones, and you can throw them in there. It tends to keep the radio warm, but it doesn't actually do anything on the flight line. They don't generate enough heat. So I didn't find those were much use at all. So what works for me is just a Turnigy transmitter glove, no heaters of any kind, and use your jacket sleeves to plug the holes and you'll get no drafts, and it works really, really well. So let's talk about some of the things that didn't work for me, and one of those is gloves. So I've tried loads of different kinds of gloves. I've tried the fingerless with covers, regular gloves, super thin computer gloves, marigolds. I've tried absolutely most of them. And the problem with all gloves is that you lose feeling. So you can't tell how hard you're pushing down on the sticks, and you also can't tell if your thumbs or your fingers are moving to the edge of the sticks and you're about to lose grip. I think the fingerless gloves with the covers that you can pop on and off work quite well down to a certain temperature, but as soon as you're getting close to freezing, they don't work that well because you lose that feeling and your fingertips freeze pretty quickly. However, I think trying gloves is worth a shot. They certainly do work for some people, so give it a go. I know some people swear by the fingerless version, so if you do have a chance to try them, it is absolutely worth giving it a go and seeing what works for you. Now, hand warmers is another thing that comes up quite often. So these are these little USB battery powered versions, or the chemical or the gel click versions. Now the heat that they provide actually is quite comfortable. It's actually nice to have them in your pockets or in your hands between flights. However, I find because it's an external heat and it's very localized, it doesn't actually warm your core at all. It kind of raises your comfort level, but it doesn't actually keep you warm. So they're really nice to have, they feel great, but they won't actually keep you out there flying for longer. So in summary, with a few extra bits, you can be flying all year round. Now, when I have my thermals and the jeans and the hoodie and the ski jacket, the over-trousers and the transmitter mitt, which is actually starting to sound like a lot now, I'm super comfortable on the flight line. Honestly, when I'm out there, it feels like I could be in summer because I've got no cold air coming in, I've got nothing coming up my ankles or getting into my neck or anywhere like that, and my hands are super warm in the transmitter because it's keeping the wind off. It feels really, really comfortable. Now, if you didn't want to fly in winter, you could just stay at home and do sim, but I think there's probably a limit on how much sim you want to do or how much sim you can do. And some people do find sim difficult to do, so it might not be an option for you. There are a few things that you need to be aware of when you're flying in winter. So if you're taking a model from the cold and you're bringing it into a warm room, there's going to be a condensation issue. You've got all that humid air and it's immediately going to condense onto the cold parts of your model. So it's highly likely that you'll get some sort of rust on the bolts and maybe between the bearings and the main shafts. So you want to keep an eye on that. On the positive side, you'll be flying all year round compared to some people who aren't. So you will tend to progress quicker than they will. And winter days can be amazing. You get fantastic days where the air is thick and still, you've got blue skies. In the UK, we've got some of the best days in winter. All you've got to be able to do is stand that cold, almost freezing temperatures, which can be done. I hope this helps you with your winter flying, and I hope it gives you some ideas of things you can try. And I'd be interested to hear from you what worked for you for your winter flying. So maybe we can do a follow-up and I can learn some things as well. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you next time.